This is going to be the best video you've ever heard. If you're a Kamala Harris voter, a liberal, you've heard in a long time. You want to share it with everybody. I'm going to break this down. You're going to feel 1,000% better. Hi, I'm Darren Monroe. I used to work on Kamala Harris's campaign. If you listen to the end of this and every second of this, you will feel so much better. Listen to it several times. Seriously. Here's the thing I'm going to do today. I got a gift for you, and this is a gift called Decoding the Drama, called Identifying the Data and Developing a Better You, where you're going to feel 1,000% better, okay? And this is all so you can get into my clarity group. The sale is ending. It's ending. You want to get in this. This is the best investment you ever have. It's on sale for a fraction of the price. You should be in here. You should be in here. Now listen, here's the thing I want you to understand, and click the link in my description or in my homepage if you want to just go ahead and go for it right now. Here's the thing. I want you to dig out the next, we're going to break down, we're going to basically break down, unpack the last 37 weeks, what it really means versus the bullshit. We're going to go into what the other 171 weeks look like, and believe it or not, it's a very good thing. Our best days are ahead of us. Not in 2026, not in 2028, but now. So you listen very clearly, because there's nobody on the left talking about this. So let's first start with decoding the drama. Understand, in the Clarity Group, I teach every Tuesdays. I'm talking tomorrow, Tuesday evening, about narrative warfare. We are under attack, duh. But here's the thing you don't understand. They're attacking us so that you don't look at the other pieces, and they're attacking us from within our own base with ACDs. What are ACDs? Keep listening. I'm going to break that down to you too. I want you to also understand that we suffer from ACDs on the outside, but HOLs on the inside. Listen to me. I'm going to decode all of this drama, decode everything piece by piece. Let me explain to you in 37 weeks. It looks like we might have gotten our ass kicked, but we didn't. It was a rocky fight where we have come out winning way more than they have. And I'm going to break it down to you step by step in this whole series, in this whole area, this whole video I put together just for you. So please listen. Please listen. Share it with your friends, your family, everybody. Here's the thing. Do you know what was stolen? We're not going to go down that. Do you know what was stolen? But you know what? It's so bad that I have to say you know what, but you know what it is. I don't need people flagging my content over this, because they have been, and they're afraid. I mean, this very platform gave $24 million to this, this chump, and capitulated. And the capitulation has been ridiculous. But I want to take you through this process. Again, we're decoding the drama, identifying the data, and then we're going over towards developing better self. And by the end of this, if not in the middle, you will get my clarity group, because my clarity group will take you to the next level. I have classroom special trainings that are dropping this week. I have a database coming this week of the real data, the real facts. I have replays of my lives from the last several months. I do 3 lives a week. One is called Narrative Warfare, to deprogram the psychology that messes with you. On Saturday, I have one called To Empower Your Peace in the Midst of Trumpism, how to get greater peace and development with you. And the ones on Thursday is Kamala's Book Club. It's Kamala's Book Club. We're basically talking about 107 days in between the lines and what it really means on what she's doing and how she's going to come back and become the next president of the United States. It's happening. It's happening. In 2028, she's coming back. She's going to kick ass, and we're going to watch it. And I'm telling you, I've even put money on it, for real. Cow Sheep. Look it up, that Cow Sheep app. I've put money on it. Okay, they got 30-to-1 odds. They fools. They think that somebody else is going to be president. They're not. And I'm standing behind it. If I'm wrong, I'll own it. But understand this. It's happening. And what I want you to all understand in this process is that what I'm teaching people is who's going to jail. What I'm teaching people is how the math not mathing is going to start adding the fuck up in their legal terms that's going to take them down. I'm going to talk today about the 3 biggest things that are absolutely basically that are major things that even Trump can go to jail over. So let's go and start unpacking, okay? So the first thing I want you to understand, I said earlier, ACDs, right? What are ACDs? That stands for alarmists, conspiracy theorists, and doomsday people. If you're watching those people on social media, cut them the fuck loose right now. Okay? What's an example of an alarmist? An alarmist would be someone like Aaron Parnas. If you hadn't heard of him, he got millions of followers. I'm not trying to hate on the guy, but listen, Aaron is a nice young man, but the problem is he keeps bringing the news with no perspective and context. That's the only thing. And he's not alone. There are millions of people doing this. You will see the traits of an alarmist very quickly. They're just bringing you breaking news. They don't give you any context. They just keep it right here, even though they claim to be on the left. Then there's the conspiracy theorists. The conspiracy theorists, there's so many of them, it's ridiculous. They come out, oh, well, the way that Charlie Kirk got shot and the way the election was this, and they take you down this whirlwind rabbit hole and don't give you concrete information. And if they do give you concrete information, they don't have any workable solutions to work beyond that. See, I realized I was one of those conspiracy people at first in November over the math not mathing and the you know what getting stolen. But at one point, by the middle of November, I said, she ain't coming back. I was in the campaign. I could tell you, she ain't coming back. And I started telling people, stop doing this, stop getting your accounts reported and flagged and getting kicked out. Don't do that. Don't do that. Instead, we need you because we need as many leftist creators as we can. Stop fighting that and start fighting forward. Fighting forward means we got to get ready to fight for Trump administration coming and spread word on what's really happening versus the propaganda. And some got it, some didn't. Now, the third group are the doomsday. Let me give you an example. And I love my brother Don Lemon, but Don Lemon's talking about we're fascists. We're in this world and we're fascists and this autocrat and this. If you're listening to that, let me tell you right now, we're not fascists. We're not autocrats and we're not dictatorships in America. You know why? Because if we were, Don Lemon would be in jail or dead. I'd be in jail or dead. And everybody else who spoke out be in jail or dead. Say what you said in Russia. Say what you said in North Korea or Iran. Now you'll see why you, or China, This is not it. He's a wannabe. And he'll always be a wannabe. And because of the structure of our nation, he cannot be a dictator, autocrat, fascist, which is going to get me to the HOLs. Remember I said that earlier? HOLs, what are those? That stands for a problem we have inside. See, outside we got the ACDs, the alarmists, the conspiracists, the doomsday people. Stop listening to them, take a colonic from that. But then there's the inner thing happening, the thing that puts the fear and anxiety and the stress in you in Trump. And it's called HOL. And the HOL stands for the history, the operation, and the laws of our government. The majority of leftists are ignorant to that. And when you're ignorant to that, then of course anything Trump does freaks you the fuck out. As it naturally would. Like, wait a minute, because the first thing you come near and ask me, can he do that? Or, oh my God, why isn't anybody doing anything? Yeah, there's a lot of people doing stuff. And I'm going to unpack that. And I'm going to give you all the details of all our three different types of allies. We got three different types of allies who've been fighting on our side. In addition to our three different types of allies, they've been winning. There's been a lot of winning going on the last 37 weeks that people don't talk about. Well, the news doesn't report it. Yeah, they do. You're just overwhelmed. There's so much out there. How could you know? Especially if you're listening to the ACDs. Especially if you're trying to live your life and you're not in tune with things. That's why you need a clarity group. Why do you think I call it clarity group? I didn't call it that. It was the people who said, are you going to start a clarity group? I said, yeah, okay. Okay. Again, I got a background in marketing and branding. So I had to freeze up my business to work on Kamala Harris's campaign. Then later on, I said, well, where do I go from here? I guess I should go into helping hundreds of thousands of people and speak out about it since I speak so passionately on it. And I decided to do that. And I stepped up my game and spoke out about that. And that's where we at, okay? That's where I am telling people, listen, I want you to understand that it's going to be okay and stop freaking the hell out because there's a lot of good news here. So what I'm saying is, on one side, we've identified the outside, the HCDs, the alarmist, conspiracists, doomsday people. On the inside, we know that there's a lot of us who don't know the history, the operation, or the laws of our government. So from that ignorance, we end up getting attacked by the Trumpism because it looks like, oh my God, he's taking over the nation. Everything's done. Boom. It makes it easier to listen to the ACDs, or the ACDs sound like they're making sense, but unfortunately they're not. They're not. They're not. So now that I'm decoding some of this, let's decode some of the things he's doing. I've got another acronym for you, ESGN. And you've heard that probably among all of the people who follow me here, ESGN. You'll see that in the comments. ESGN stands for Epstein, shutdown, gerrymandering, and no kings. Why does that matter right now? Because that's the focus. See, where he's been winning is that we, many times, don't get on our focus. And we need to be. We need to be on our focus. Our focus, because he is a brilliant narrative manipulating misdirector, psyop, psychology guy. I know he sounds like Trump is dumb. No, he's not that dumb. It's kind of like in Star Wars when you had Palpatine, the Emperor, who sat there and pretended he was old and frail when he was actually an evil Sith Lord, powerful person. There are people who play that game, and then they end up taking over, and he's one of them. And what I want you to grasp and understand is that this person, Donald J. Trump, all right, he basically has a way of manipulating people to his whim and his will, spotting their weaknesses, spotting what they want. He knows what people want, can sell it to them and get it in there and get people there. He has a brilliant way of doing this and a brilliant way of putting together teams to do that, okay? So, well, it's the Heritage Foundation. No, it ain't. No, it ain't. He's using them too. All they're doing is filling in the details of what he doesn't have the way to do it. He's good at vision, but he's not good at a detailing person, as we all know. I want you to understand, too, what this really means. Decoding this drama helps you understand it at the beginning and end of each week. He has some drama. Look what he did with Qatar bases in America. Just decode it. Just decode that drama. And know that he's trying not to get you look at Epstein, shutdown, gerrymandering, and no kings. ESGN. How do we know that? Because in the past, we had June 14th, No Kings Day, 10 million people, 2,000 events with 20 countries supporting it. What happened? Inside of 7 days, the momentum was gone. Online. How do we know? Because he said, I might bomb Iran. Please learn from that. And the reason I say this is important for you to learn from that, and I hope that Indivisible and NoKings.org has learned from that, is that it's not the event, it's the marketing of it. Because Trump don't care about a movement, he cares about the marketing. And he's brilliant at it in a Napoleonic way. And what I want us to begin to do, because the good news is we have the numbers to Napoleonically market our movement. It has to be not only before the event. No King's Day is Saturday, the 18th, but it has to be long after the event. Not 7 days like last time. And let me tell you, this man, Donald Trump, remember I said this, is going to come up with something. Number one thing I hear from people is say, Darren, last 10 plus months, you've been right about this. And I have. It's not that I'm a genius. I give that up to my mama, who taught me critical thinking skills, how to really place this and understand that he's going to try to manufacture some bullshit to go ahead of No Kings or after No Kings, just like he did with I Might Bomb Iran. That's why I say ESGN, because our focus is ESGN. Epstein, shutdown, gerrymandering, and No King's Day. Now let's unpack this even further. Since that's our focus, where do we come in? Because here's the thing. I just decoded a lot of the bullshit he just said. So anything come out of his mouth, obvious is a lie. Anything come out of his mouth is a misdirection away from ESGN, right? We know that, right? Then I said the data, and I haven't talked enough about the data, but I'm going to get into the data and then I'm going to get into you, okay? But understand what our goal is. Our goal is to support the marketing narrative to spread these videos out there. Not only just this video, but anybody who's giving you the following: context, assessment, or analysis. Doesn't have to be mine, but it should be some people on the left that's giving you that. Because if they're not, it's just more of the ACDism, alarmist conspiracy, and doomsday. So we know that we suffer as a group from HOL, right? We'll be SOL, shit, our luck, if we don't realize this. HOL stands for, again, the history of our government, the operations of our government, the laws of our government. And the thing we should understand that deprograms us from being afraid of Trump is this: because of our three branches. And let me go into that for a minute, because there are people in the doomsday world, and out of the ACDs, the doomsday people and the alarmists come in and say, he controls Congress. No, he doesn't. You just don't see clearly what's going on. Another reason to get in my clarity group, click the link in the description and click the link in the homepage, because, and I've had to check people who will come in our clarity group and try to be the alarmists, and I said, no. No. You are checked real quick, because we're not running around like our heads cut off in here. You're going to think we're the cool kids in the group. And out of all the leftists, understand where the cool kids are thinking. We're like, that's interesting. Okay, so when they indict Letitia James, what charges do they have? Well, according to all sources, all lawyers, it doesn't really seem like, not all lawyers, but many lawyers, doesn't seem like that's much of a case at all. In fact, it sounds like bullshit. Oh, wait, it is. Oh, let's look at the data. Now, let's go into data, because I just decoded a lot of this drama. Let's go into data. Man, listen. In the last 37 weeks, do you know all of it? I'm going to give you, and those of you who already know what I'm about to do when I hold up my hand like this, but just be patient with the new people. Here's the thing. Do you know that we have had temporary, permanent, state, and national injunctions, as well as cases that have ruled against Trump in now nearly 200 of them? Out of 200 of all of that, he's lost 150. Do you understand what that means? Okay, maybe you don't. The lower case courts, and I know you say, but the Supreme Court, but here's what you don't put in your mind. Supreme Court only handles 1% of cases. The lower courts are 99%. So when you telling me what the Supreme Court's doing, I'm telling you that they only handled a fraction, and right now this man has over 700 cases going. He can't do everything. He can't win everything. And the Letitia James thing is such a setup, even in the courts. And realize in the last 37 weeks, and I'm the only person who said this repeatedly, but in the last 37 weeks, do you realize when I say lower court judges have ruled in our favor? Let me give you some more math. Again, identifying the data. There are 94 districts across 50 states, 677 judges. Though not all of them are on our side, it's been proven in the last 37 weeks that every single judge on every political spectrum will stand by us. How do we know? Because there have been judges that have been Reagan appointed, both Bush appointed, and Trump appointed judges saying, no, Trump, that's illegal. Well, you say, well, he'll just kick it up to the Supreme Court. He can't. He can't. He doesn't have the ability, because there's only 9 of them and they can't take everything. We got 171 weeks. You think he's going to push the narrative on everything? No. And some things, very few, but some things they have not rocked with. I want you to understand the bigger picture that's happening in this identifying of the data. We have 3 different types of allies. Remember I said that earlier? We got 3 allies. 23 governors and attorney generals, including here in Chicago. Big shout out to J.B. Pritzker and Kwame Raoul, our governor and attorney general. But there are 23 governors and attorney generals. And I want you to understand how important that is. They are investigating Trump left and right. They have spent $100 million plus going and fighting this guy. If you think these guys are punks, let me tell you, they're the real Democrats right now we got. How do we know? How do we know? Well, Darren, how do we know? They're not stopping anything. Everything's going crazy. No, calm your ass the fuck down. Let me break it down. Again, you going to get in my group. You going to get in my group or you're a fool. Don't tell me you ain't got $20. Because right now, that's what it's going for. $20 whole per month or 100. Literally, 100% of everybody who came in at $20 end up getting the whole year for 100 because it's a deal. $20 a month or 100 for a month. The regular price is $60 a month or $297 for the year. And everybody gets in that son of a bitch. And you know why? Because I'm the only one out there saying what I'm saying the way that I'm saying it. And I'm trying to tell you as people are freaking the fuck out over shit they shouldn't be freaking out over. What this data clearly points with these 23 governors and attorney generals is that in the last 37 weeks, they have stopped trillions they have stopped Trump from freezing trillions and stopped them from freezing Medicaid. Remember when he did that in the first 3 weeks? Tried to do it? It was the 23 governors and attorney generals that leaped all over his motherfucking ass. Even the states, the red states was like, hey, what are you doing? Because Medicaid, red states need us more than the blue states. Then blue states need them. But here's the thing. They've been on business. They gangster. And they went after Letitia James like that. Let me tell you, that was the biggest mistake they could have made. Dumbest thing they could have ever done. Dumb. Dumbest thing they could have ever done. You know why? Because what happened after that? What happened after that? You have these other 22 attorney generals. You can't do nothing to them. You think they're just being quiet. No, they're investigating you. That's why I have something under classroom in the clarity reports. Listen to me. Write it down. Keep a note of it. Under classroom, under clarity reports, called 8 different types of investigations. We coming at them. We own it. Plus, there are thousands of investigators. Some retired, came out of retirement. Some lost their jobs and went into working in private service as consultants by wealthy people who are financing. Well, why would wealthy people do that? Because the majority of wealthy people don't like this man. Oh, you might say, but he's getting them tax breaks. I know. To the simple, I'm not trying to call y'all simpletons, but to the simple thinking, you think that they would like him giving them tax breaks. But the reality is when you're wealthy, and this should make sense to you, when you're wealthy, you can move money so way that whatever tax strategy they bring at you, they're going to be able to be okay. When you have money, you got lots of options, especially in America. And so what they don't like is what he's doing to the nation. He's fucking with the stock market. He's fucking with the numbers. Everything's going shit. There's a lot of, there are 22 million millionaires in this country. There are 900 billionaires in this country. And believe it, there's a sizable amount of people who do not like this man who are very wealthy. In addition to that, it doesn't take a sizable amount to employ private investigators, private searchers and researchers. It doesn't when you're rich. That ain't nothing money. And there's a whole bunch of people out the CIA, NSA, FBI, everything, who's in the job market now because Trump fired all of those people. You know the last group of people, the last president that ever did that, there was only one other president, JFK. Notice I'm the only one telling you this. Have you heard this before? I'm the only one telling you this. But this is just the tip of the iceberg that I can say on YouTube. Imagine what I'd say in the Clarity group. That's why I keep telling you, get in the group. Here's the other thing, having a supportive community in the Clarity group where they're talking about positive things. But I'm going to get over to that third part in a minute because I talked about decoding the drama. I talked about identifying some of the data, and I'm going to continue to do that right now. And then we're going to go over to developing a better you. And these are the things you want to be doing. So let me break it down to you as we're decoding this data. So there are 23 attorney generals and governors who've been fighting, and they've been winning, and they've been showing up, and they've saved us, and they've returned trillions of dollars to us, help keep Medicaid from going under. They have been in our corners. They continue to be. Why do you think he attacks Gavin, Pritzker, and Hochul, and Witt, and everybody? Why do you think the mayor of Maryland, Brother Man? Why do you think they doing that? Westmore? Why do you think they doing that? Why do you think that Trump's on that? because he knows they've been kicking his ass in the courts. He knows they've been kicking his ass, fighting back. Here in Chicago, we already got a freeze of those National Guards, even though they haven't been defederalized. There's a freeze. We've been winning in the courts. California's been winning in the courts. Other people winning, and that's because of the lower courts. They rock. The higher courts suck, but the lower courts have 99%. This is data you know. Who's our second allies? Because I just said the 23 governors and attorney generals. Who's our second allies? The nonprofits. NoKingsDay.org, NoKingsDay.org, NoKings.org. Go over there and get on their list, join them. Also join Indivisible.org, Indivisible.org. Join the NAACP. You don't have to be black to join the NAACP. One of the first white members of the NAACP was Albert Einstein. Did you know that? Yeah. Join the NAACP. Join it. The other groups you can join. ACLU. ACLU been rocking. I grew up knowing the ACLU was and everything, but man, American Civil Liberties Union, they have been kicking ass. They've been fighting. Let me give you an example. When you had that whole thing that went down with birthright citizenship and people were going to have a hard time, just, they were trying to cut things out. They came up with class action suits, which was the only caveat that the Supreme Court gave. They came up with class action suits saying, hey, we're going to make sure Planned Parenthood doesn't get their medical funding cut. And they did. They won. The American Bar Association has sued twice and beat their ass. Understand, this has been amazing to watch. And if you don't know these things, you're suffering, again, back of the HOLs. How our government works, the history of our government, the operation of our government, and the laws of our government. That's a personal thing. In the Clarity Group, I'm putting together special training this week to give you not a civics lesson, but basically a short form understanding of how, because of the structure and history of our government, he can't come in and take over and be dictator. Ain't happening. Ain't happening. Here's the other thing I want you to understand. There is, and join those organizations I mentioned. They're doing a great job. Then there's a third group. And that is, again, I've mentioned them kind of earlier, and that is the lower court judges. They have been fighting on business. Boom, 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 and fighting back. Have they lost some? Have we lost some? Absolutely. But have we lost everything? No. Is all lost? Hell no. Don't listen to them doomsday people. It's all lost, everything in fragment. No. You got to understand, thoughts and words become things. Let me break it down to you. Thoughts become words, become actions, become habits, become character, become destiny. If you continually do that, if you can talk your way. Think about it. Charlie Kirk, Biggie Smalls, Tupac all manifested their deaths. They talked their way into it. You talk love into your life, love comes into your life. You talk wealth into your life, wealth comes into your life. I have a moneymaker group. Wealth comes into your life. How much are you investing in getting a better, wealthy mindset? When you talk these things into your life, they become real. So when you talk fascism, autocrat, dictator, they become real, even though they're not. Because again, Russia, North Korea, and Iran, I'd be gone in jail or dead or both. So would Don Lemon, so would all these other people who are speaking out, including the 23 governors, including all the non-profits fighting for us, and including the judges. That's how they roll. That's the real deal. Well, we're heading that way. No, we're not. The structure and formation of our government, the history, the operation, and the laws of our government clearly point out that we're not. I tell you what we are heading to. We are heading to a clash. And I've talked to hundreds of military people, and they say we're heading for a clash where it's going to come to a standoff. We are heading to a clash. I talk about this in the Clarity Group. There are 5 different types of civil wars out there. 5 different types. Okay? 5 different types of civil wars out there that are occurring. In fact, I'll share that with you a little bit today as we're decoding data here. But I want you to understand the data clearly points in the last 37 weeks that this man has lost, again, 150 of the almost 200 temporary injunctions, permanent, state, and national injunctions in actual cases. According to Forbes, and I'm building a database in the Clarity Group this week that points out, Forbes said that as of July, Trump lost 60% of his cases. In May alone, he's lost 97% of his cases. He's been getting his ass kicked. Well, he don't listen to the law. He don't care. Are you one of those and you're still listening? He don't listen to the law. He don't listen to the Constitution, and he can void the Constitution. No, he can't. No, he can't. No, he can't. No, he can't. And he is listening to the judges. That's one of the biggest things I get to hear, and I tell people, if he's not listening to the judges, why you bring Aurelio Garcia back when he said he couldn't? Why did he give that money back when he froze $1 trillion in his first 3 weeks? Why did he all of a sudden make Medicaid work when they turned it off temporarily? He cares. He gives a big damn. Why? Because he has immunity, Darren. Why would he care about that? Because if he doesn't care, like with Aurelio Garcia, let's look at that, Judge Zennis. And we're still in the number 2, the identifying the data. We've decoded the drama and the psyops that are going on. And I'm going to talk more about that tomorrow in the Clarity Group. Make sure you join this. But here's the other part of this. Decoding the data. Here's what people don't realize. When I'm telling people that he cares, let's look at Judge Zennis, who's going to hold them in contempt of court. Judge Zennis was going to do that. What happened? In 48 hours, they got that boy back. I'm telling you. I'm trying to tell you. This ain't what you think it is. This ain't what you think it is. This guy ain't winning. No, they're afraid. Because what would happen? Basically, the members of the court will be held in contempt. They could lose their license. They could lose their freedom. Even though he can't. And even Trump pointed this out. When they interviewed Trump, they said, you can't go after Obama. Obama got the same immunity you do. He said, yeah, but his people don't. Now, that everybody who worked for Trump should have been like, because guess what? The same rule falls on him. If you just looked at the last term of the people who went to jail and got in trouble, that should be enough to tell you, oh, crap, this ain't working well. I'm trying to get you to grasp the bigger theme here, the bigger understanding, and that is that he is not winning this war we got going on. But we're dealing with 5 different types of civil wars. Let me take you there, and then I'll take you into the third one, how to develop you. We decoded the drama of what's going on with him and how there's a lot of lies, and at the beginning and end of the week, he's designed this to terrorize so you don't look at ESGN, Epstein, shutdown, gerrymandering, and no kings. And then I talked about decoding the data, how we've had 23 governors and attorney general, hundreds of nonprofits, and how we've had hundreds of lowercase judges, even who were Reagan, both Bush, and Trump-appointed judges who fought back. You've heard all of that. I just broke that down, and I've also gone a little deeper than that. But while we're here in the decoding the data, I want to share something from the Clarity Group, at least a light version of it, so I don't get my account limited, banned, whatever, by YouTube. There are 5, actually 6 different types of civil wars going on. The first one is with the Republicans. Obviously, MAGA is very upset about Epstein. They're very upset about the way he's run things. He hasn't drained the swamp. He is the swamp. He's just as much a grifter, and there's a lot of MAGA people who've seen it. In addition to that, you have the MAGA fight against the GOP. The GOP is starting to clap back over Epstein and other things. They're starting to clap back because they see the weakness. They see this man is in trouble. They also see what this man's doing as far as his games, his grifting, and they're uncomfortable with it. And the GOP knows they're voting for that big, beautiful bullshit bill has done nothing but kill their chances if they got an election coming up in 2026. They're getting booed out of town halls, and people out of town halls are getting kicked out. Trump's name ain't gonna hold that. And if this man dies, and I'm not wishing death on anybody, but if this man dies, his coattail, there are no more coattails to ride. He's not going to pull them over. They're in trouble. The other groups, that are fighting back is Elon. Elon is made up, but he's made nice, but he ain't made up. He's pissed, and he's waiting in the wings. I think the most powerful thing out of Elon's mouth all year was, and this is what he said to Congress. He said, Trump has 3 years. I have 30. Make a choice. You got people waiting in the wings to just leap in the Republican family. But let's talk about our Democratic group. We got problems too. We got 4 specific ones. The first one is the progressives versus the traditionalists. Mamdani pissed off Schumer, Jeffries, and Kamala Harris when he said don't vote for them. He said that last year. And now he's saying, hey, endorse me. And all respects to Don Lemon, who talked about that. Because I was like, I didn't even know that. I was like, okay, cool, Don Lemon, you on point with that. Even though you getting that doomsday stuff, you on point with that one thing. And he's right. So he basically, what we're saying in essence, it comes down to the progressives like AOC and like Jasmine are having a hard time with the traditionalists. They hating. Traditionalists are hating. In sports, when you're hot, whether it be baseball, football, basketball, whatever, when you're hot and you're on a team, they're going to play the member who's hot usually. If they're hot, run with it. That night, they may be hot. Overall, the star may have the higher averages, but when they hot, run with it. Even Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player in the world. I'm from Chicago. I'm biased. If you don't believe that, then fuck you. But still, it's all about the GOAT. Even the GOAT was smart to play Steve Kerr. He was like, no, keep going. Because it's like, if you hot, run with it. And AOC and Jasmine are hot as hell. They're on flame. Their temperature is hell. And they on flame. What the Democrats should have done is gone out and listened to the progressives, because when AOC went on that tour with Bernie out to those red states, but they don't get it. You got Cory Booker and you got Hakeem Jeffries sitting on the steps of the Capitol Hill like they Schoolhouse Rock. I'm just a bill. I'm only a bill. I'm like, no. What you need to be doing is following that template. They went out there and they rocked that out. And you need to be going out there. You need to be showing up there. Motherfucker, please, you need to move your motherfucking hands. And we all knew it. It's like you need to be out there because millions of people are blue voters in every one of those red states. And red states, conservatives would have showed up. They would have been listening. Say, listen, we ain't trying to campaign for you to become blue and become Democratic. We know you're conservative. So if you're conservative, here's how you really get at your Congress people. And they didn't. Here's the other problem we have is down ticket versus national. They're not getting enough money, whereas Republicans are sending a lot more money to their down ticket. They're fighting it. They're funding it. The other issue we have is young versus old in Democrats. Young versus old is crazy as hell. We need to get over this. Right here in Chicago, y'all. I'm telling y'all, right here in Chicago, I'm watching this right now, where Danny Davis in the 7th district is finally retiring, but he shouldn't have even ran this year. He shouldn't have ran. This man should not have run in this time. He should not. And there was a young lady, Kim, I forget her last name, who had the progressives on her side. She had the black community on her side, but not enough people in the primary. They're not passing the torch enough. Don't get me started on Pelosi. Then we have probably the biggest thing, which is when what was stolen or the election was lost. Notice how no Democrat publicly would say what it really was. They just said it was the economy and immigration. Bullshit. It was prejudice, racism, misogyny, homophobia, xenophobia. There were people who sat on their couch or voted for Trump because they didn't want the black Indian woman married to the Jew. And I had people privately tell me that, even women. And I'm like, that was the problem. That was the challenge. We got racism, homophobia, prejudice, xenophobia, misogyny going on. People all in their bag. ignorant people. And now every one of those groups are catching hell from Trump. What I'm saying to you in this whole ideology of them is that they need to, on the left, announce and have those conversations more. You know, months ago, Jasmine Crockett reported, she said, you know, there are donors who are saying they're looking for somebody safe and white. We know who they talking about, Gavin Newsom. And I'm glad Gavin Newsom's fighting with the gerrymandering. I'm glad in what he does. I support all of that. But fuck Gavin Newsom. Kamala Harris going to be president. Deal with it. Here's the thing. You can argue that all, I'm going to vote Gavin, I'm going to vote AOC. Whatever the fuck, I'm telling you who's going to be president. Remember that. Remember that shit. And if I'm wrong, I'm going to own that bitch. I'm going to own it. I didn't think they could steal the you-know-what last time. And I owned it. I owned it in front of millions of people. Because I had over 700,000 followers across social media in this political thing. Niche. I want you to understand that understanding and identifying all this data I've given you, and I've given you a lot. I've talked about this, that we're dealing with a lot. So we have the Republican Civil War, the Democratic Civil War. We have the judicial Civil War between the lower courts and the upper courts. We see it. Because like I was telling you earlier, the lower court's been siding with us. The upper courts have lost their mind. They got something on the Supreme Court. Somebody on the tape. They're going to find out eventually. It's going to take years, but they're going to find out. Let it all work out. Let it all work out. Then there's the fourth Civil War. The fourth Civil War is between the wealthy. And it's not between wealthy and poor people. I'm talking about there are wealthy people who don't like this guy. And I mean a lot. You know, we are a mega rich country. Nothing in the world is like us. We got 900 billionaires. Of the 3,000 to 3,700 billionaires in the world, 900 of them are here. A third of the billionaires are here. 22 plus million millionaires. You think all of them like Trump? Oh, he gives them tax breaks. No, you just don't understand. Again, I'm gonna enlighten you because I've been an entrepreneur for 20 years. Oh, they can move their money enough to wherever the tax code lands, even if they tax the rich. See, the Democrats are lying talking about tax the rich, and I'm a Democrat. I'm telling you, they're lying. They don't. We're gonna tax the wealthy billionaires. You know what the irony was at the DNC right here in my city in Chicago was that they spent $100 million in the city. They had the United Center. And in the United Center, they had suites that went between $500,000 to $5 million that they were selling to raise money for. And you had Bernie Sanders come out and talk about all the wealthy billionaires. And then you had J.B. Pritzker come out as the wealthy billionaire. And what I'm telling you to say this, it's not about capitalism, it's about character. Because J.B. Pritzker has been the best damn governor I've seen in 55 years of my life. And I'm trying to tell y'all straight up that this guy, this Trump is very, very hated in the wealthy circles. Don't believe it. They can't stand him in New York. His own hometown. They can't stand him. And it's not just New York. There's a lot of wealthy people who just don't want the aggravation and talk against Trump. And the reason they're not going to talk against Trump is because they already know. They're like, listen, they know the one thing that Elon said, and I said earlier. Remember what I said about Elon? Elon said to Congress, he's going to be here for 3 years. I'm going to be here for 30. The wealthy know they'll outlast him. But here's the wealthy Civil War. They are the people who are funding investigations secretly into Trump. True. It's a fact. I'm going to share a story with you nobody else talks about. The Secret Six. That's who put Trump, that's who put Al Capone here in Chicago in jail. It was a bunch of businessmen who went to the president, and the president gave them forensic accountants from a department that would later on be called the IRS, and they shut them down. Now, times that times a million, and that's what you got coming up against Trump and everybody under his administration. I'm telling you, 80 to 90% of anybody in his administration is being investigated, or they're going to get shut down. When I say shut down, job loss, class action suits indeed, but I'm talking about people who are going to jail. Steve Miller going to jail, Pam Bondi going to jail. I did a video before here called how U.S. attorneys are going to jail. It's happening. It's happening. It's happening. It's happening. And what I'm trying to tell people right now is it's a patience game we're playing, because it ain't going to happen overnight. It ain't. It ain't going to happen overnight, but it's happening. It's happening. Here's the other thing I want you to understand very clearly in this whole scenario of happenings. In this Civil War thing, there are outcomes that are going to become better. The GOP is going to break down. The Dems are going to become better because the traditionalists are losing. They are. They're losing. The old is getting older and they got to give up. And the youngers are coming in here with different ideas. The wealthy is winning because they're getting investigations done on Trump that are happening that only they can finance. Whether you want to believe it or not, it's not capitalism, it's character. Here's the fifth group of people. I've talked about Democrat, Republican. I've talked about the war among the judicial branch, lower and upper courts, Supreme Courts, the wealthy, this happening in that civil war. There's a military one. And I think you saw it. When he stepped out among all those generals for the first time ever, you saw a United States president that didn't get a standing salute or any applause. That says a lot. I've heard from hundreds of officers over the last 10 months that clearly said, we swore an oath to the Constitution. We are not turning against our own people. It ain't happening. Now, some will. Yeah, there'll always be Trumpers or people who just blindly do shit. But then the other people are like, See, our Constitution says we can stand up against the king. Do you know our very Constitution says we can fight this motherfucker? Facts. Here's the other thing I want you to understand. There's really a sixth civil war, and I'll go into some other things after this, is that the sixth civil war is this. The sixth civil war is the states versus federal. You had the governor of Oklahoma, who's an extremist conservative, spoke up for J.B. Pritzker here in Illinois. Because he said, wait a minute, you can't be sending National Guard into and invading other states for no reason. There are people who are going to speak out. And it's not just that person. I just want you to understand that when I say 23 governors and attorney generals, they are fighting back. Not only in the speeches, but in the courts and in logistics. I pointed this out, and here's the thing. I'm going to point this part out, and then I'm going to go into how you develop your better self. This part comes down to here, and that's why you need to be in my clarity group, because you need this ongoing. It's one thing to have motivation, but it's another thing to have a plan and a habit and understand what's going on, because I'm going to wrap this all up towards the end and give you the real deal. Here's the thing I want you to understand. I'm gonna teach you this. Now, you think that station is a cross of Christianity. They ain't got nothing to do with it. I'm gonna teach you this. So the first part of this is you got politics at the top with the Democratic politicians who are local. Let me tell you, the first thing that I learned, and this was from indivisible.org back in November. When the campaign was over, people from Kamala Harris campaign told me about indivisible.org. I didn't know what indivisible.org was. And I went over there and they had a plan, and they were right. Going local and regional is the way to go. That's how we fight this man back, because the 23 governors and attorney generals. So you got the governors and the mayors and the county presidents who have been speaking and planning and doing things behind the scenes. It ain't the ones you see in the press. It's the ones who are behind the scenes. And I'm saying the ones in the press are great. Gavin, and of course JB has to speak up. But think about it. We got another 20 plus governors who, yes, they've talked and spoke up, but at the same time, it's the behind the works that's so exciting right now. We have $100 million plus in fighting, and so far in the last 37 weeks, we continue to fight. And like I said in the data, we are winning in many, many ways. And yes, he does care about the courts because his people can go down if they don't stand up on the courts. And he can't just take the Constitution because people will come in and rip them. Even Congress has come out and spoke. How do we know? Because Ted Cruz, of all people, spoke out when they cut Jimmy Kimmel with that old corporate cutting. You had people who speak out. They push that narrative, and we push back, and they shut the fuck up. Here's where we get deeper with this for a moment. I want you to think about it from this perspective. We got politics, the activism in the streets every day, y'all. Every day. We have been having activism out there. Where you come in is sharing the activism in the streets. I've been reposting every damn thing happening in Chicago, as well as Portland, as well as DC and LA. We need to share that narrative. That's why we're winning ESGN right now. Epstein shutdown, gerrymandering, and no kings. In addition to all of this stuff happening, we decoded the drama. So you shouldn't be afraid, because this guy ain't nothing to be afraid of. 40 years of failure. We are identifying the data that's working on our side. It's not made up stuff. Everything that came out of my mouth, you can pretty much go to and research and find and look and see. But instead of doing that, just get in my clarity group. I'm putting together a database. You will hear that ongoing data over and over, and you will be trained to understand that it's going to be okay. And then we're going to talk about developing you at the end. Here's the thing. I want you to understand there's the politics, the activism, then there's the streets. What do I mean by streets? I mean both the legal organization and the illegal organization. Every major gang has had truces, both in Chicago, DC, LA. The Crips and Bloods are like, we're gonna pause this for a minute. We see what's coming in. We'll get back to business as usual. Right now, we're gonna pause this. See, every time Trump goes to a blue city, it goes like this. Everybody who was fighting get together. The mayor and the governor have not been friends here in Illinois, Chicago, Mayor Brandy Johnson, J.B. Pritzker, but they definitely know how to pull together to fight this motherfucker in every city. Strangely enough, it's been a weird blessing, in a weird way, bringing these troops and ICE and shit. It pulled people more together. He gets people to band together. You see how that happens internationally. European Union been united together more than ever. But understand this, politics, activism, and streets. And then you have both the regular organizations. Here's an example of that. During Mexican Independence Day here in Chicago, we usually have people downtown, Mexicans riding their cars, playing music, nothing violent, nothing but them just, blocking up traffic, but it's the weekend, fuck it, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they jamming, got their flags out. They didn't have none of that this time. The organizations decide we're going to shut this down because ICE trying to fuck with us. We got that. Politics, activism, organization. Here's the other thing, branding, no kings. Something you can remember that's snappy, no kings. Make America great again? Fuck that, no kings. Then we have the marketing, and that's where you come in. Sharing this video, sharing other people's videos who talking about perspective, context, who are giving you perspective, context. If it's alarmism, breaking news, why are you sharing that shit? If it's conspiracy shit, why are you sharing that shit? If it's doomism, he's an autocrat, he's a dictator, why are you sharing that shit? Guilty. Don't do that. What I'm saying to you is this also, and I want you to dig into this. As we transition into developing you, I want you to understand that there's a bigger picture happening, a bigger happening to this that I want you to immerse yourself into very deeply. The ability for us to out-market this guy isn't as hard as you think. Donald Trump doesn't care about the movement. He cares about the marketing. Remember that data. It's not about the movement. It's about the marketing. We had 10 million people out there for the first No Kings Day. He crushed that in 7 days. He picked up on the hottest story and ran with it. I might bomb Iran. I will bomb Iran. I bombed Iran. Please understand this man is smart. Stop playing him like he's a fool, because if you play him like he's a fool, you play yourself like you're a fool. Here's the final part of this, because this is important. We got millions of people reaching out to Congress. We got millions of people joining these nonprofits I talked about, ACLU, No Kings, NAACP, Indivisible.org, and so on. Hundreds of organizations support them, right? But the third thing I mentioned throughout this video, which I tell you again in my clarity group to understand better, because I'm doing trainings on how to market No Kings Day now, during, and way after. We have to be the marketing arm. Remember what I said, politics, activism, streets, branding, No Kings. But over here, this is the marketing, okay? We got to step up. And you may say, well, yeah, I promote marketing. No, seriously, promote it. Promote it. I created a whole series on TikTok and IG with me running. If you want some comedy, I got a whole series, me running with the Epstein files. And you will laugh your ass off. I'm in a tutu, y'all, running with a clown. I'm running with an afro wig in a clown suit. I'm riding a tricycle. I'm running across the Lake Michigan water. That's one of the most popular ones. I'm riding this tiny tricycle with my big ass. And people are falling the hell out. I'm running from the White House with the Epstein file. What's the whole idea behind that? It keeps that prevalent, keeps it viral in front of other people. That's why I said share it. It's one thing to share this real in-depth information, but it's another thing to share some funny shit that make people laugh because we want it in front of their faces. And I'm gonna have some stuff for shutdown, for gerrymandering, for No Kings. I'm gonna be blowing shit up. But that's my way. Share my content. You don't have to make content. Share it. Realize, not for me, but understand the purpose. And in the back end of the clarity group, I'm training people. How do they share more information? There needs to be, it's one thing to have 10 million people out in them streets, and it looks like we're going to have way more than that. We may have 15, 20, or 30 million people out in them streets. But the other thing we need to do is have 30 million plus people sharing everything about those 30 million people out in the streets. Repeatedly, every day, beating the narrative of what Trump's trying to Trump with I might bomb Iran. Whatever the recent drama he's going to bring up. You understand? Very important. ESGN, Epstein, shutdown, gerrymandering, No Kings. And right now, out of those four, the primary things we're focusing on is Epstein because it's killing him. No Kings because it's coming up, it's relevant. Then the shutdown, and then gerrymandering. I want to talk about a few more things here. This is so important, right? I said this is important. Politics, activism, streets, okay? Branding, marketing. Now let's go into this other one. And I'm going to transition over to developing you, because it's one thing to decode the data. It's one thing to decode the drama, identify the data. But let's talk about developing a better you, because understand this. I've already pointed out 3 things you do that we're already doing that you can do. Contacting Congress. If you join Indivisible, they got it for both red states and blue states. They got templates. If you're reaching out to help nonprofits, and definitely you want to share videos and more information, whether it be the funny stuff I have running from the Epstein, with the Epstein files and stuff after I stole them, or something in depth like this. That's important. But remember this, there's another thing. I told you this with the politics, activism and streets and branding and marketing, right? But then there's this. And that's another cross, and it's got nothing to do with Christianity. At the end of the day, there's priorities your priorities, highest priority. And then there's what you control. In the low end, there's lowest priorities and what you don't control. I see too many people worrying about things that you don't control that's your lowest priority. It doesn't mean that you don't care. I usually give the example of, oh man, watching a lion eat a dog. And it's like, oh my God, that's horrible. Now I could give to the Anti-Cruelty Society or the Society of Killing Lions so they don't eat dogs or whatever. But is that my highest priority? No. Is that, well, Darren, I'm still going to focus on it. Okay, that's your call. Here's the thing you better understand. We got 171 weeks. And this is what I mean by developing a better you. Over 171 weeks, what are you doing? Right now, I'm almost 24 hours into a fast. I'm in a fast. I got my treadmill over here. I'm going to be walking. I'm going to be moving. I'm going to be doing everything I can to become a healthier person, to become a wealthier person by helping people, connecting people, serving value, by becoming a person who is emotionally healthy, mentally healthy, spiritually healthy. Where are you at? Where are you at? Because that's why I'm developing this special training in there too. Because the whole point is that you can talk about the drama, you can talk about the data. Well, let's talk about you, whether there's a Trump or not. Fuck this dude. What are you doing for you? There's an old Outkast song that says, you and I got to do it for you and I. Well, damn it, that song's almost 30 years old, ain't it? Yeah, something like that. You and I got to do for you and I. What are you doing for you? Here's some things I want to throw out there. What are you doing to make yourself feel better? I got candles, 3-wick intensity candles. I'm going to talk about all the cool stuff. I got great music playing. I make sure I get sleep, hydrate the hell out myself. But then there's other things you need to do. And I'm going to teach you in the clarity group. How do you get rid of toxic people without even confronting them? Do you know how to do that? I'll give you a hint. Why is it that vultures don't fly in outer space? Lions don't swim in the ocean. And why don't sharks swim in the desert? Because the environment in each case is not conducive for those vultures and scavengers and predators to live. See, you can't change people, but you can change you and change the way people come to you and have access to you. You could be in a room with somebody and disconnect. We've done it before, all of us. Because some of us have listened to understand and others have listened to respond. So they say they hear you, but they really weren't listening. You could do that with toxicity. And I'm going to teach you how to do that. Become a better you. Because out of this, just like the pandemic 5 years ago, why didn't you invest more in you? What could you do more for you? Because it's about you. It's about you. That's what Clarity Group's about. It ain't about, oh, give me some money so you join my group. Fuck that. It's about how do you become a better Bill, a better Stan, a better Janie, a better Robin, a better Shaniqua. How you be better, Shaniqua? You know you need to be better, Shaniqua, girl. For real. A better Juanita. All right, mommy. I'm telling you, how do you become better? Because despite all of this, you can only give what you can give to democracy. No, real. Well, you know, you can only do so much. So why are you stressing out over shit you don't control? Again, why are you stressing out on low priority shit you don't control? You know, what's that serenity prayer? I remember my brother first shared that with me. He said, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I can change the things I can, and wisdom to accept the things I cannot change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. You can't change this shit. Excuse me. You can't change it. But understand this. Understand this. Even though you can't change that, yes, you can do these things that I mentioned. Congress, nonprofits, sharing videos like this, or videos that are sharing the narrative. That's important. That's important. That's important. But beyond that, what the fuck are you doing in your home, in your house, in your life? If you're stressed out, remember I said HOLs, right? The history, the operation, and laws of our government. Here's another thing. What are you consuming in your mind? That's what I go into in depth on the clarity group. What are you consuming? What are you consuming? What are you taking in? What are you breathing in? What are you doing? 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 What are you consuming and breathing into your head? Because if all the stuff you're breathing in your head, I'll say this again, if all the stuff you're breathing in your head is stuff from liars, from alarmists, from ACDs, alarmists, conspiracy theorists, and doomsday people, you're losing. And if you're suffering from HOL, not knowing the history, operation, and laws of your government, and not having somebody to take you down there, link in the description, in the homepage, if you don't have that, you go down this endless loop of negativity and horribleness. I want you to understand that the bigger picture of this that we're dealing with is the ability to take care of ourselves. And I say that as somebody who's working to lose weight, somebody on a 24-hour fast right now, somebody who's on a treadmill. I'm not sitting there judging, y'all need to lose weight. And then I sit there with some cheeseburgers, y'all need to lose weight. Bullshit. I'm trying to tell you, we can become better people in the next 171 weeks. It is an opportunity to become better. Think about how many people became better through the pandemic. How many people went through all the stuff they went through and just got better. They became better. They showed up better. They end up showing up in the game in a way that they didn't even know for themselves. Some people came out that pandemic, they didn't recognize themselves mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically. They didn't even know who they were. They came out the game stronger, better, and bigger. And because Trump is president has nothing to do with it. It's in spite of him being president. You build a better you while you help where you can and keep moving. But your highest priority, the thing you control, is you. Highest priority, what you control. Locking in on a better you. Because when you decode the drama, when you identify the data, you can develop a better you. But you trying to do that by yourself is stupid. And I know it because stupid. Listen, I have all sorts of trainings, mentors, the whole nine. And it's not about Trumpism. People always ask, what about this with Trump? Fuck Trump. Fuck Trump. This is about you, motherfucker, you. I have talked all this time decoding the drama. Telling you the real data. Now, what the fuck are you going to do about you? And ask yourself this. And this really identifies the real people in the game. Because people tell me, well, I can't afford the money and the $20 is so hot. But $20, first of all, it's supposed to be $60, but it's $20 a month. I can't afford, as you're saying that, from a phone. Yeah, I know it comes with a phone bill. I get you. I'm speaking as the guy who started his business 20 years ago with a FEMA paid for hotel. I know you see the fancy view, but I was in a FEMA paid for hotel on Bandera in San Antonio, running away from Hurricane Katrina. This Chicago guy knew nothing about hurricanes. I was working in New Orleans in radio, and boom, I'm out in the streets. Get deeper with you, 23 years ago, after I lost my music business job out of Universal DreamWorks, I was homeless, sleeping in a car for a couple of weeks during this very month of October. Seriously, what is today? The 13th, 14th? Man, listen, I was sleeping in a car on Western and Howard. Anybody in Chicago? Northwest side, Western and Howard. Right where that little Dunkin' Donuts was, the police was there. So they didn't bother me. They was, they about their donut life, right? But I knew that people wouldn't fuck with me neither while I'm in the car because they about that donut life. They want to get as far, the criminals want to be as far away from the police as possible. So it's not that I don't understand hard times, but you put into yourself and ask yourself, who do you have to ask questions to? Because I can't answer them across social media with 700,000 followers, but I can for the people in the Clarity Group and be able to be more direct. You can always, when you join the group, click on my name and hit chat, and you can go directly through and just reach out. Not everybody has that. We're not in everyone's business. Here's the other thing I want you to understand very clearly is that when I say developing a better you, you're going to change the way you ingest versus what you profess. Because what are you taking in? Are you listening to the liarships? Are you listening to the ACDs, alarmists, conspiracies, and dooms? Do you know you suffer from HOL? How do we solve that more? Getting into special training there, hearing my lives every week, understanding what's taking place. What's happening with Trump is only a minuscule thing. It is. So they say, no, but Darren, he's destroying democracy. Listen, if you understand the HOL, the history, operation, and laws of our government, you realize this man has ginormous problems. He's in trouble. If you understand the data that I've given you and how much he's lost and how we have some powerful allies, both in the lower courts, in the 23 governors and attorney generals, and the nonprofits, you realize he is not winning. When you realize there are 5 different types of civil wars, as I spoke about, and within those civil wars, you have military who are saying, nah, we ain't about to turn on the people, but we're going to have some changes. But they're trying to be very strategic with it, because once they stand out, they stand out. And whatever they stand out on, people gotta get behind them and support them. And because that could be their whole career, or they could be in Fort Leavenworth, they can be in prison. So they have to stand up, but they got to pick and choose their battles. Strategic tactical warfare. Once you understand the psyops that he's doing, Trump's doing to get in your head, you realize what you should be consuming and stop dooming and doom scrolling. And you start identifying better traits in what you're doing and how to cut it off. You got to get filtered. You got to get filtered. Because when you're filtered, you'll understand, oh, you know, when a liar lies to you, do you believe them? Especially when they're a liar. And when you listen to doomsday people, and now that we've identified the doomsday people, the conspiracy, the alarmists, of course they're freaking you the fuck out. I deprogrammed everybody last week. When Letitia James got hit with that indictment, I said, calm down. Number one, their record in the lower courts is horrific. They ain't gonna win shit. 2, it's bullshit. And 3, now we know they have a Biden appointed judge. Unless that judge is on the take, there's no fucking way in the world that's going down. She did nothing wrong. Plus, we know who Letitia James is. Let's break that down again. History, operation, and laws of our government. Letitia James went after this man, and she knew years ago that this man was going to come back, try to clap back. Do you know those 23 governors and attorney generals? They've been preparing since 2023. They knew this was going down. They're not the same as Congress. See, they're 2 different Democrats. There's Congress who's weak as hell. Jeffries and Schumer are full of shit. They're holding the line, but them motherfuckers ain't working. It ain't working. I wish they got rid of them. But then on this side, there's the Democratic governors and attorney generals. And they got a whole nother swagger. Them some bad motherfuckers. And they've been on our side. What you got to realize is that when you're, again, constantly decoding the drama and identifying the data, you got to start saying, how do I develop a better me? One of the things I'm going to talk about, and I'm building this week in the special training, is how do you get up with a better you? How are you rising? Thoughts become words, become actions, become habits, become character, become destiny. And how are you rising to a better you? How are you locking in? Who's around you that's toxic? I'm going to teach you how to detoxify a motherfucker real quick. First, how to identify them, how they make you feel. That's the hint, based on how they make you feel. And then 2, how do you begin to remove them from your world? How do you change the environment that causes them to go away? It's like the lion, the tiger, the lion, the shark, and the vulture example I gave early. It's like, how do you decode them and get them removed from you? You'll feel 1,000% better. What can you do better for you? Mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. What can you do? And I'm not preaching any form of faith to you. I'm just saying, how do you put more into you? Because when you put more into you, despite everything that's happening, when you realize you're doing all you can do. I met one of the first black vice presidents of Disney 30 years ago. And he said, if I did all that I should have and all that I could have, that's what got me to success. I'll never forget that because I asked him. And he said, and the interesting part about that, should have and could have. Should have and could have. These three things, kind of talking to your Congress and reaching out to them, reaching with the nonprofits and forwarding these videos out there and training people. That's the biggest thing you can do. That's the biggest. So why are you sweating over more things? Oh, there's more things. Okay, no, there's only so much you can do. Highest priority, what you control. Be at peace with yourself, knowing that you control you. You're being the best you can be. You're investing in you. You are into you. You're building you. You're protecting your spirit. You are removing toxicity from you. You are being empowered. And you are in strength and in power with yourself in a way that no one else can do. You're going to come out of these 171 weeks, and that's why I say be excited. You're going to come out these 171 weeks more empowered than you ever were before. In the Clarity Group, we all have nice conversations. There really is. There really is. We share things like music and funny stories and jokes. Like I said, I got a whole series going on right now. I got a series talking about running with the Epstein files and crashing through grandma's windows and flying a jet plane and jetpack. It's hilarious, but it's designed to be funny. Why? Is it a funny subject? No. But that's the thing about comedy. You can take some horrific things and turn it into comedy, not because you're insensitive or mean, but because it is something that can make you smile and a free endorphin. But it's another thing. Because I made these comedies, I've had my stuff forwarded to millions in the last 3 days since I started. So I got a Epstein Files comedy on TikTok and on Instagram because it's short form content. YouTube is longer form content. And then what I'm doing is I'm doing something on No King's Day too. No King's Day. I'm going to do the same thing. No King's Day. No King's Day. No King's Day. And I'm going to do it before, during, and after. And I ask that you share those. If you follow me on Instagram, same thing, Darren Monroe Political. And on TikTok, we don't know how long they're going to be there. Oh my God, that sucks. But definitely on IG. And what I'm trying to tell y'all is get in touch. Get in touch and really invest in yourself. Not only with joining the Clarity Group, but invest in becoming better people. But you trying to do that by yourself is stupid. And I know because I was stupid and I did it. So what do we know? We decoded the drama he's going to bring every day. And we know he's trying to get us to ignore ESG and Epstein, shutdown, gerrymandering, no kings. And if we can decode the bullshit really quickly, we'll know that it doesn't matter. Or if it's a hard hit, we know the bigger picture through identifying the data. Because overall, the data is he's been getting his ass kicked in court. He does care about courts. He does listen to the courts. He's not taking over the Constitution. He is not a dictator, an autocrat, and a fascist. He's a wannabe. Because people are still speaking out against him, and they're fighting him. And every time we fight hard enough, they step back. 2 words for you. Jimmy Kimmel. You see how quickly people step the fuck back. Even the GOP is starting to fight back. There are 5 civil wars that are working in our advantage. 6, actually, when you talk about states rights versus the federal government. Now more than ever, this has been the United States of America. And that we have powerful allies, 23 attorney governors and generals who haven't just been talking. They've been suing and winning and fighting in every single arena they can. Then we have the nonprofits who have been suing and winning in every way they can. And then we have the lower courts who've been fighting and blocking everything this fool's been doing. I've never seen anything like this. Even Reagan, both Bush, and Trump appointed judges. That's not according to me. That's according to every case docket that's out there. And we still got hundreds of cases, 700 cases plus. We still in this fight. But we winning. It's bloody, but we winning. The other thing is understand the better you in all of this. What are you filling your head with? Because if you're filling it with ACDs, alarmist conspiracy, and doomsday people, that's not healthy. I used to ask people why they listened to Rush Limbaugh, especially when they were black and they hated him. Why would you listen to somebody you hate? That's ridiculous. Don't listen to that. What you do is decode what's being said and move on and build a better mindset, build a better emotion, build a better peace, build a better life. And fill it with things that you love. You know, the mind can't accept negative nor positive at the same time. One of my mentors was Bob Proctor. Some of you have seen the pictures and stuff with me and him. It's just great. But one of the things I tell people is the mind can't accept negative or positive at the same time. So just fill it with positive. How do you do that? Think about all the movies, the films, all the things that you love to do. Find those things. Why do you think you see some people crocheting? There's this young brother who black or brown kid who's on the train in New York who be crocheting. He didn't create a whole thing crocheting, which is great. There's another lady, she does this calligraphy thing, which is great. There's another guy who just be playing trumpet. By the way, I'm going to be playing instruments pretty soon, which is great. I'm trying to get y'all to understand this is a bigger picture. Bigger picture. Big. We're going to be all right. We're going to make it through this. But we got to start with ourselves. You can't help out there if you can't help in here. If you can't help there. That's why you got to begin looking at a different you. That's why you got to take a colonic from the ACDs. That's why you need somebody in the clarity group who can answer your questions. Because as soon as you join, when you get in the community, you can click over my name and go over there and just hit me up with questions. And I will give you resources to go to within the clarity group that I already made. Or if I haven't made them, I will make them. Let me give you a great example. There's this great lady, Zoe, who's in a wheelchair, who's incredible, who's a member of the group. And she asked me a bunch of questions about autism. I'm creating this database because of her, because she asked some great questions. And it's not just a database about autism, it's about anything. From health to finance to blah, what's going on in courts, blah, blah, everything. It's an ongoing workable database of things and sources. And the reason I'm doing that is because she was concerned before talking to me. And I check back in with Zoe all the time. You need somebody you can reach directly. It's important, not just for those reasons, but also to help Zoe laugh. I do these videos to help people laugh. The ones where I'm doing the, Epstein files running with them. And I got some coming with No King's Day running with them. I'm trying to tell y'all, this is real. This is real. We're going to do well. We are doing well, a lot better. But you better understand the bigger picture of this, which is, what are you doing for you? What are you doing for you? What music are you listening to? How much time are you spending with your family, friends, the ones that aren't toxic? How much time are you spending to do a better you? I have my dirty nails here. I wish I didn't have my dirty nails. I apologize for the dirty nails. They could be cleaner. And I gotta go to the manicure. I'm going to my manicure, get my manicure going on. Get my beard trim going on. Watch out now. What are you doing for you to make you a better you? How are you pouring into you? How are you doing it? That's the most important thing you can do, is invest in you. What are you doing for you? Because again, you and I got to do for you and I. And at the end of the day, whether Trump's here or not, the bigger picture is, how do you make a better you? I have a moneymaker group I don't mention enough, but are you building your wealth? You don't have to speak about politics, but guess what? For 20 years, I started from a female paid-for hotel. I went from that to this. And I did it by telling people what I was doing, by educating them in branding and marketing. This political stuff I've only done in the last year plus. I joined Kamala's campaign and I did it for free for 5 months, stopped my business and everything. Then I said, well, how do I go forward? Because there's so many people who wanted to learn something, and I couldn't help everybody sitting here for free, because I got, I like to keep the lights on. So what did I end up doing? I ended up saying, you know what, I'm going to build a platform off this to actually help people, but not just talk politics, because that's the last thing you need is more politics. You need personal development. That's what Clarity Group is about. Clarity. Notice I didn't say political group, I said clarity. How do you with clarity become a better person? How do you with clarity stand up in your own energy and be able to repel people while protecting your spirit? How do you with better energy show up for yourself? How do you, while doing that, yes, identifying the data and decoding the drama, but you come out as a better person, because no matter what happens out there in America, you're taking care of you. You're being a better you. Your life don't start with them. Your life starts with you. Again, words become actions, become habits, become character, become destiny. And that don't happen unless you begin to decode what is happening with drama, identify real truth and data, and being able to invest more time into being a better you. It's one thing to say it, it's another thing to show you. Come on in my group. We have a sale right now. It's $20 a month. You can end at any time. Click the link in the description and in my homepage of my YouTube channel. You can end at any time. We have a year long. That's $100. It's worth it. Think about it like this. Are you worth it? It's worth the investment. You will see in the community that we talk about everything from music, love, to showing pictures of our, of families and things that we care about, our dogs, cats and all that stuff, real life stuff, That's what it's about. Talk about what you love, do what you do, connect how you connect, make it a family thing. Everybody from around the country, around the world. Oh, side note, if you're Black and you're listening to this, I've also created a Black Clarity group. I'm still trying to kick it off, but when you join the Clarity group, it's free to you. It's the Black Clarity group. So once you join the Clarity group, reach over and I can get you in the Black Clarity group. And the Black Clarity group is basically the message about, as an African American, what we gonna do, because there's some things we need to do. All of that said, everybody, I want to thank you for being on here. And I want to also encourage you, again, hopefully I've earned your subscription, but I want to thank you for being on here and encourage you to step up into your best you. This is probably one of the greatest moments and opportunities. Opportunity doesn't show up in the form of an opportunity. It shows up in the form of crisis. All right? And the idea is you can show up for yourself, build a better you in the midst of Trumpism. You can fight back. You can do a lot for yourself if you just believe. That's what it's about. The other thing is you become a better person. You know when it's working? You know when it's working? This is what Clarity members have told me. You know when it's working? When people around you are like, you're different. What's going on? What's up with you? That's when you know it's working. That's when you get that vibe. Because we can do a lot out there. Our democracy ain't dead. Remember, we got 171 weeks, I've said this repeatedly, which total 41 months, which seems like a lot, but this country is almost 3,000 months old. This man ain't ending it. We're fighting back. We're fighting back. They're not just laying down. The politicians are fighting back. I've pointed out 23 attorney generals and governors. I pointed out a little bit the Congress is standing strong on the shutdown. They finally got their leadership together. I pointed out the activism in the streets that's happening this very second. The streets and how they're working together to fight, whether it be the illegal or the legal ones. I worked out No King's Day branding and the marketing that we have to do to share these videos. I've pointed out to you that one of the biggest issues that the left has is HOL, which stands for the history, operation, and laws of our government. And understanding that better in the Clarity Group is the best thing you can do. I pointed out who to avoid, the ACDs, the alarmist, conspiracists, and doomsday people. I've also pointed out to you this, which stands for your highest priority, what you control, lowest priority, what you don't control, and how you need to be in these upper two quadrants. Because that's what it's all about. I've talked about how you need to be careful because your thoughts become words, become actions, become habits, become character, become destiny. I've talked about how when you fill your mind with nothing but good things, there's no room for negative because the mind can't take positive and negative at the same time. So let's just keep it positive and moving forward and think about what we love and what we do and what we care about and realize that there are higher forces going on, not only in our allies that I've mentioned, the 23 governors, the hundreds of nonprofits, and the hundreds of judges who are standing on business, whether they're liberal or conservative, but how we stand on each other and how there are forces in the universe, God, however you believe, are standing in our advantage. You see, nobody's poured into you like this before. And there's a reason for that. Because it's time for us to start focusing more on building better us, on building better relationships with the data is, and building a better decoding of the drama. And also understanding the power resides within us. There's this weird thing about us as Americans. We think we control other people. You can't control your wife, your husband, your pronoun, whatever. You can't control your children. You can discipline them. But at one point, as they're growing up, they're living, breathing little people with their own minds. What I want you to be able to do really quickly is begin to unload and decode and become better people, because that's when we discover our greatest value and our greatest truth. And there are people who come to me at times, they say, well, Darren, I'm trying to convince my wife. You can't convince nothing. You can give them the facts and step back. The thing I tell people in the Clarity Group is protect your spirit. Now, you're going to bring them the truth, but after that, you got to step back and not do anything. Grown people going to do what grown people going to do. You and I got to do for you and I. For us. That's what it's all about. I want to take this moment of my life to share this with you, pour into you, because I'll never get this time back ever again. But at least it was well spent helping you become better people. Hopefully you grasp this. Hopefully I've earned your subscription at the very least, and hopefully I see you in the Clarity Group. When you join the Clarity Group, you get a personal message from me. No, that's not my assistant. No, that's not an automated message. It's actually me. It's very personable. I love you all. Stay strong. Keep your spirit strong. And stay away from the ACDs. Realize you got an HOL problem of the history, operation, laws of our government. That's why you should invest in the Clarity Group and understand that. And that you should stay away from the ACDs. It's like that old doctor saying, you know, why, doctor, it hurts when my hand does this. What's the doctor say? Don't do your hand like that. You know, you shouldn't be poisoning and being around toxic people who are on the left. If you notice, I've said more the left than I have the right. Of course, MAGA's toxic. But let's talk about the left. Fuck MAGA, let's talk about the left. Because we got some major issues over here. Yeah. But over here, what's going on? Y'all ain't supposed to be like that. I'm going to give you some final words. Listen. We only have so much life to live. And you got to ask yourself how you're going to live it. Now, some of you, if you're over the age of 40, you know what I'm talking about. You end up with less time ahead than you do behind. The average person lives to 75. I turned 55 in December. You only have so much time. Do you really want to pour it into listening to negative, alarmist, conspiracists, doomsday people? Do you really want to pour it into listening to, and it's not just the legacy media, I'm talking about the creators out there who are doing that too. So-called independent people, but they independently alarmists, independently conspiracists, independently doomsday. Turn your attention away from that and turn it more towards building a better you. Building a better person. Because that's what matters most. Your life is at stake. And the legacy of your family is at stake. But you only control so much. You control you. You and I got to do for you and I. Decode the drama. Identify the data. And develop a better you. But it doesn't happen alone. Ladies and gentlemen, it is foolish to try to make it happen by yourself. Get with people who are going to get better or not. I wish you all the best. Follow my next videos. Hopefully I've earned your subscription. The world is yours. The whole ability for you to be a better person is amazingly enough out there. If you choose. Only if you choose. It's going to be all right. You're more valuable than you think. And we're going to show up in energy and encouragement and excitement and joy in life. Because if you don't, what the fuck is the use of living the life we live in anyway? Time is so precious. It is. It's so precious. And we don't know how many tomorrows we have. Tomorrow's promised to no one. We're merely leasing today. Do you really want to pour it into the type of people who are doing nothing but poisoning you? And I'm talking about the poison from the left. I ain't even talking about the right. You definitely don't need to be listening to MAGA, but come on now. What are you pouring into you? How are you making a better person? Let's talk about that. Yeah. Anyway, thank you for listening. Check out my next video, of course. And know that you should be encouraged. Know that you should be enlightened. Know what is going on by decoding the drama. And it doesn't work when you listen to this and you think, well, I listened to your video, so I'm all set. No bullshit. It's like reading a book. You don't read a book, you study it. Speaking of which, Thursday, I got my book club coming up, 107 Days Between the Drama. You can book, as soon as you get in the Clarity Group, you can join it. We're going to talk about it. We're up to the 99th day. We're trying to go a little slow to get people to catch up. Then we're going to go deep. But I'm decoding stuff. I'm talking to people about stuff. That's what it's really about. That's what it's really about. Okay? You being able to understand how to decode drama, how to identify data, and again, develop a better you. That's what it's really all about. You can do that, you're going to win. You're going to win big. Because, believe it or not, liberals, Kamala Harris voters, the good news is we're winning. It's a rough battle. The biggest challenge we have, and that's why I ask you to help with that challenge, is marketing. See, the 23 governors and attorney generals, the hundreds of organizations have been so busy fighting Trump, they're not always marketing it as well. Some are, but others aren't. But especially those 23 governors and attorney general, they've been humbly on it. They've been doing the publicity and the blah and the blah and the blah, but they just hadn't, Trump is a beast when it comes to marketing. And despite whatever happens outside of this door, note this. The thing you control most is you. And if you're developing you, no matter what happens, you win. Watch the next video. Hopefully I've earned your subscription. And damn it, get in my group.